So, Rachel, did you grow up in New Zealand?
Yes, I did.
Nice. So, I grew up in the States, and I thought we would talk about how life is so much different for teens today than it was for our generation.
Okay, I think we can do that.
So, obviously, the first thing is that when we were young, we didn't have like smartphones and things like that. We didn't have the internet,
We didn't have
actually.
internet, we didn't have email.
Yeah. So, I remember if you wanted to meet a friend, you would have to plan it way in advance.
Yes.
You would have to wait by the phone. Remember that, waiting by the phone? You couldn't go outside because if you were waiting for the call, you had to wait at your house until you got the call. And
We
then,
didn't even have an answering machine at my house.
wow,
Or
my
call
gosh.
waiting.
That's really old school.
We used to have to wait by the phone.
Yeah.
Actually, I used to spend every afternoon after school on the phone with my friends.
Uh-huh.
After we got home from school, we would call each other and discuss the day's events, I suppose.
Yeah, you had so much to share.
Mm.
That's true. I think,
So my teens these days, they come home from school, they get on their phone and they text all their friends.
right. And they do it all day. Like it's
Yeah.
constant chatter. I think maybe that's why I'm not so much into texting. It's just too much work, you know? Like I like to build up the mystery of not knowing what somebody did for a while.
Yeah, but I was thinking about it recently, and I think it was similar because we used to telephone a lot,
Hmm.
but then we did have to wait a long time before finding the news.
True. Yeah, I read once about how a lot of the movie plots from like the 60s, 70s, and 80s wouldn't work today because of cell phones.
Yes,
Because a lot of the storyline,
they're about missed communications.
right,
And
right, yeah.
yes, and somebody arrived and somebody else didn't.
So another one I think that's really obvious is bottled water. So when I grew up, there was no such thing as bottled water. Like you had to get water
No.
from a faucet, right?
Yes, from a
Like,
tap.
yeah, and I think I remember when they first started coming out with bottled water. I think I was about 14 or 15.
It was a bit later in New Zealand, I think.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So that was crazy. But, I mean, do you remember what it was like when people were first drinking bottled water? How strange it seemed at the time? Everyone was like, why don't you
Yeah,
get it from the tap?
The water's very clean in New Zealand, so the tap water is clean. So there was really no reason.
Yeah, like if you come from a temperate
Mm.
climate, it was never a problem, right? Because I'm from a temperate climate as well. And so the water doesn't really have problems with bacteria or things like that. So it's always clean. It used to be clean. So in New Zealand, it's probably still clean.
The rivers used to be clean, but they're not so clean now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Even
There's
in New
been some
Zealand?
problems, yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, shocking.
It's a bit sad.
Yeah. So how about other things that we used to do when we were kids? Like one thing is, I think compared to kids today, is we used to spend a lot of time outside.
Yes.
Actually, like our parents would not allow you to stay inside. You had to be
go
out.
outside.
You had to go
yeah.
outside,
It's
right?
the opposite today. They
Yeah.
make them stay inside and won't let them go outside.
Why is that? What's the rationale for why they should stay inside?
Safety.
Safety?
Mm.
Yeah.
We
But-
didn't used to hear about all of the kidnappings and abuse in the media, so
Right.
people weren't afraid of it.
Yeah.
So
And the crazy thing is,
we
I
hear
think
about it now.
it's actually safer now, right? They
I
say
think,
it's
yeah, it's safer now.
even in the States where they hear about this. I think statistics say that it's actually safer than it was before.
Yes,
But the perception is there.
although that could be because the children are all inside.
That's true. Yeah.
That's a difficult one to figure out. But I don't think it's that unsafe to play outside. I think it's better for kids socially, for their bodies, for their development to play outside if they can.
I agree. I totally agree. Like kids definitely should be outside and kids should be bored. I think that's one of the things that kids miss out on is boredom.
They're never bored now. They've always got a screen to look at.
Right. So, obviously when we were young, you had nothing to do. So you had to go outside and find
Climb a
something.
tree.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's so fun.
I thought of something.
Hmm.
We used to have video watching parties.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
only one person in 10 had a video machine.
Right.
So we would all go to this video store together and argue over which videos to watch and choose some horror movies and some comedies. And then go to one person's house and all watch them all together.
I
No,
do remember that. Yeah, it
no,
was a
no
big thing.
Netflix binging, but yeah,
Yeah.
having a video party at someone's house was a big deal.
And I think movies were a much bigger deal back then because we didn't have screen time. There was no such thing as screen time. You had your TV, but that was not the same thing. Your parents wouldn't let you watch that much TV anyway. And so a movie was a big deal.
It was more of a big deal. You didn't just watch it on Netflix when you were bored.
Yeah, but a kid these days, it's just, they're on their screen all the time.
Yeah.
It's just more digital pixels. Yeah, different times. Like, did your kids work when they were in school? How did you feel about your kids when they were in high school?
My kids had to work for the pocket money. So they would have chores to do and they would get pocket money. Um, they would help with the washing up, sweeping, cleaning, whatever. They always had to earn their pocket money, which
So
they thought was really hard.
So did you ever withhold their wages?
Yeah.
You did, really?
Yeah.
You'd be like, no, you didn't do your chores, you don't
Yeah,
get the
you're not
money?
having it, yeah.
Really? How often would you have to do that?
More so in the beginning, once they get the idea, if you don't work for your money, you don't get your money. And that's a life lesson, isn't it? If you
That
don't do
is
your work,
great, because
you don't
think
get money.
I think a lot of people just assume, even me, like I've never had children, but the parents just spoil the kids, and they don't want to have the hassle, they don't want to have the fight, they just give them the money.
But you look at the difference between the Western kids and the kids out here. You can go on a bus trip with the kids out here. You can go on a 6-hour bus trip. You don't hear a peep out of that kid. They're sat there, the mum's asleep, maybe the kid's asleep as well. If you put Western kids on a bus for 6 hours, you'd have to have a PlayStation or a tablet or something. They'd be crying. You'd have to feed them things. It's a totally different way of acting.
Yeah.
And I miss that. When I came to Asia, I noticed that the kids were happier with less, much less than we have. And it wasn't until I spent the year in Asia and then I went to Australia, landed in Sydney, noticed one thing, that the people were that much bigger, but also the kids were just so spoiled, and the parents were just giving in to them.
So you think that maybe we need to rectify that situation, that we should stop spoiling kids,
Yeah, I do.
take away the PlayStation,
Yeah.
just stick them outside, yeah.
You can get strollers today with a place where you can put the kid's tablet.
Yeah, it's
Why
crazy.
can't the kid just look at the world?
Yeah. It's so funny you mentioned that, because before we were talking about potential business ideas, and I have an idea called Camp Boredom. So what happens?
Boredom is good.
Yeah, what happens at Camp Boredom is you send your kid to Camp Boredom. It's like just a camp in the woods or on a farm, and the kids come and they go, "What do we do?" And I go, "I don't know, nothing. Go outside, just find something to do."
No
Because-
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, because I grew up no Wi-Fi, no nothing. I grew up on a farm, and I'm really blessed. I had no idea how blessed I was at the time, but I grew up. I spent all my time at my grandfather's farm, and we had nothing to do. I mean, nothing. But we had this farm, so we had everything to do. So the rule was you had to be up for breakfast at 7, and then once you finished breakfast, you had to be out of the house. Like, you could not be in the house. It was almost forbidden to be in the house unless it's like raining outside. And you would be outside from sun up to sundown.
Yeah, climbing fences, climbing trees,
Having
sitting on haystacks.
Right, having the best time of your life.
Yeah.
And your imagination is going, and you just, the little things that you would do. Oh, we're going to build a tree fort. Oh, we're going to do this. Oh, we're going to do that.
We're going to stop the river from flowing.
Right. So that's my idea, I think, Camp Boredom. So maybe we have to,
I think boredom is good for kids.
yeah. How so?
Because as you say, if they're always entertained and always fed, then they don't get to learn how to entertain themselves.
Yeah.
If you sit them in a car with nothing for 6 hours,
Right.
can't look out the window.
There was a great thing recently where Jerry Seinfeld, the comedian, he has a bit where he talks about how his mother would take him to the bank when he was like a kid, and like a bank or a department store was the ultimate space of boredom. Like, there's nothing you can do. Like, you're so bored you just want to like flop down on the floor type of thing. But you're right. Like, I don't know if kids have that anymore.
No, they don't.
Where they have they hit that wall where there's nothing for them to do.
No.
So do you think that maybe we should limit the devices, the smartphones, all that kids use?
I do think you should, but I think it's too late now. I think, we've passed the point where you can get Wi-Fi, internet if we took all that off the kids now, what would they do? They'd be bored.
But you can just never give it to them, right?
Yeah, in the first place.
Maybe that's impossible.
It's impossible.
Okay, cool. So, Ruofei, you are from China, and in America, Chinese students have a reputation of being very hardworking. Is that true?
Yes, exactly. In my high school, uh, in one class we have around 70 students in one class, and everybody wants to be the top students. So everybody works so hard, and I'd say my high school was kind of like a prison. You have to go to school every day from 6:35 a.m. to 9:40 p.m.
Really? That long?
Yes,
That's over 12 hours. That's like 13, 14 hours a day.
yes, exactly.
Whoa. How did you feel as a student studying that much?
Sleepy.
I bet.
Every day I'm so sleepy.
I can imagine. Do you think it was productive studying that much?
I think their purpose just let us to stay as much time as we can in the school, and we cannot get distracted by other stuff. So we always stay at school and we always focus on our studying. And yeah, we kind of cannot know anything about the outside of the wall from school.
That's amazing. So, for such a long day, can you talk about the daily schedule? What was your schedule like every day?
From 6:50 we start to have class from 6:50 until maybe 11:45. Yeah, we have 45 minutes class and then 10 minutes break. And we also have 30 minutes we have to do exercise on the playground. And in the afternoon is the same routine. And then we went to dinner around 6 to 7, and from 7 to 9:40 we have to do our homework.
Oh, so you study at school. So it's not homework, it's schoolwork. You don't actually go home, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. So how many classes would you have every day?
Classes, 8 classes.
Okay. And what were the subjects?
We separate the subjects. If you learn more mathematics, we learn mathematics, English, and Chinese, and physics, chemistry, and biology.
That's very rigorous. Did you enjoy all the subjects?
Yeah, I love physics and biology and chemistry.
And now you are training to be a doctor.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Did you know you wanted to be a doctor when you were in high school?
I kind of know because my father is a doctor,
Okay.
and he was kind of forcing me to study medicine.
Oh, nice. So we have a phrase in English. We say, follow in your father's footsteps.
Uh-huh.
So you definitely are following in your father's
Yeah.
footsteps. Oh, that's great. Is your mother a doctor?
My mother is a businesswoman now.
Okay. Oh, great. So you had all these courses. Now, in America, there's a big controversy about tests, that kids take too many tests. It's too test-driven. What about in China? Do you have a lot of tests?
Yeah, I have tests every month, and they will make a list of every single person, how much score you got in
whoa.
this test.
So they rank everybody to see.
Yes.
That's very competitive.
Yeah, I think that's kind of bad for our emotion.
Yeah, so it creates a lot of stress.
Yeah. We have 2,000 students in one grade.
That is crazy. And so you can be number 2,000? You can be the lowest student?
Yes.
And they put that out there?
Yes.
Really? Oh my, they can never do that in America.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my gosh. Do you think that's a good idea?
Depends on the person.
Right, yeah. Wow. So you have a lot of pressure. Did you feel pressure from your parents, from your peers, from your teachers?
Yeah.
Like who gave you the most pressure?
Myself.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I don't want to be lazy. I don't want to be worse. So I have to always work hard to chasing other people. Everybody wants to be the best. So everybody worked really, really hard. Even we have breaking time, they don't break at all.
Seriously?
Yes.
What do they do during the break?
They do questions.
Wow. They quiz each other. The students quiz each other or they just do homework?
They do their homework and they find out what problem they've had and they solve the problem with teachers or other students. They just starting all day. They can do that.
That's amazing. And kids do this like 14, 15 hours a day.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really good for China.
And we don't have that much summer vacation and winter vacation. In winter vacation, we have 2 weeks because of the Chinese New Year. It's about 2 week stuff. So we have 2 weeks in winter vacation and 1 week summer vacation only.
Is that enough?
Of course not. And even we have vacation, the teacher would give us a lot of homework to do.
That is very impressive.
This is very not good experience.
Wow. Well, actually, okay, we'll talk about that in the next interview. I think that's a very interesting point.